Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Poets and Quants' online MBA panel. Today, we're talking about the student experience at University of Florida's Warrington College of Business. I'm your host, Christy Bleizeffer with Poets and Quants, and please feel free to use the Q&A function to submit any questions you have for our panelists. I'll do my best to get to those at the end of the session. I want to welcome our guests today, and thank you for taking the time. So John, let's start by you. Why don't you introduce yourself, the school, your mission, values, and reputation?
Absolutely. Thanks, Christy. My name is John Gressley. I'm an assistant dean here at the Warrington College of Business, and I'm the director of the UF MBA program. And UF MBA is located at the Warrington College of Business Warrington is one of the leading colleges at the University of Florida. And from our main campus in Gainesville, UF is a leading research institution in the Southeast and a top 5 public university, according to US News and World Report. And here at UF MBA, we've been offering an online MBA continuously since 1999, which is consistently ranked among the top 5 programs in the world, according to a number of sources. And here, we really focus on delivering a transformational experience through a university-based, student-focused program that connects talented students and rigorous academics, intentional professional development, and customized career coaching. And through that process, we attract individuals who aspire to add value, provide leadership, and impact positive change for their organizations and their communities. And our innovative programs are available to students really regardless of location through current and emerging technologies. And they focus really on developing an understanding of how firms operate, as well as critical thinking skills. And then we also place a strong premium on developing communication skills, as well as managerial and leadership acumen.
Great, thanks for that great introduction. Naz, let's go to you. Start by introducing yourself, if you would, and then tell us a little bit more about the program. Flexibility, concentrations, share, and what other guidance and support can students expect?
Perfect. Thank you, Christian. And thanks to Poets and Quants for having us with this event. We're super excited to be here. So as you said, I'm Naz Arangouch. I am the Director of Admissions for the UF MBA program. And I get the wonderful privilege to lead this team of great recruiters to help support our prospective students and applicants throughout the application process. Now, you asked a great question about just our program format and what we have to offer. John said it great. We've been delivering an online program since 1999. We were a pioneer program in delivering online in an online space. And so we actually today have 2 types of online programs. We have a 1-year and a 2-year program. Now, what is the difference between the two? Our 1-year program is specifically designed for those who have a business degree within the last 7 years. So if you've already taken your core business classes, accounting, econ, finance, all those fun courses within the last 7 years, then we are a unique school in offering an accelerated format for those individuals. Now, let's assume you've never taken those courses before, or they're a little bit, let's say shakier. You're like, wait, I remember law of supply and demand, but maybe not so well. That's okay. We also offer a catch-all 2-year online MBA program that is open to any undergraduate major. And so you can get your online MBA program through the Warrington College of Business in either 16 months if you pursue our 1-year accelerated program, or 24 months if you have any undergraduate degree. So for those listening, if you have a sociology or an engineering or like me, a health science major, or John was a theater major, and you want to do an MBA, that's totally fine. We have a program designed for you. Now, another unique feature about our online offerings is that we actually deliver this program in a cohort-based format. So you come in with a group of peers, typically about 45 if you're looking at our 1-year program, or 65 if you're looking at our 2-year program. So you come in with a group of peers and you all work together from start to finish. Another great thing to note is that our online program has 3 intakes a year. So we start fall, spring, and summer. So we always have a program starting right around the corner. So for anybody interested, we do have a Tech Start coming up in March or May, depending on which format you're interested in. But I will say, in terms of the actual structure, Christy, the online MBA program was designed to be our most flexible format, designed for that busy working professional. So online, the structure of it is that all of your lectures have been pre-recorded. So even though you're coming in with a group, a cohort of peers, accountability partners, if you will, simultaneously, there's enough structure in the program that when you're starting, when you're finishing. All of those lectures have been pre-recorded, so you're able to self-pace regardless of your time zone or busy working schedule. You're able to self-pace kind of how you're going through the program. Now, because of that self-paced, but also cohort-based mentality, that leads to not having too much flexibility in terms of concentrations or choosing of electives. Our students can choose one elective course, which we call their experiential learning course. So they can choose a course that kind of will give them that wonderful tie bow, if you will, on their MBA experience, and that can be satisfied coming to campus for a 1-week course, going on one of our international trips, going to Washington, D.C. to learn more about business policy, or they can take the course online. And so we've kind of created a flexible format to accommodate students in kind of any which part of life that they are or where they are geographically located.
That's great. John, what would you say the key differentiator is?
Yeah, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I think one of the things that really differentiates the UF online MBA as well as the UF MBA in general is that sort of location agnostic approach to how we deliver our MBA. So I know we're talking specifically about our online MBA today, and that's important to understand that what we do here, we do for you regardless of whether or not you do it online or in Gainesville, Monday through Thursday, or on the weekends. We are delivering one MBA experience that's really focused on student outcomes, whether that's career-based or personal growth or academic mastery. And we're able to do that because we've got the advantages of having been in the space for so long. We've grown in the online world as the online world itself has grown. And so we really look at what we do as one common experience. And that's a big differentiator, because a lot of programs out there that have started up are doing completely different experiences in their online program. And there's definitely a place for that in this big wide market of graduate management education. And I think as prospective students are thinking about what they want, they should really be looking into what is specific about their experience and what's important to them as they look at their goals. But for us, when we talk about an MBA at the University of Florida, we're talking about an experience that has that content delivery, whether it's in classroom or online. And we're making sure that it's relatively the same, the difference being how it's consumed. The faculty interaction is there. The student interaction, the cross-cohort collaboration, the networking, that's all a part of what we do regardless of where you're at. And I think that is a really big differentiator between us and any number of other programs that are out there delivering an MBA.
Yeah, thank you. Naz, beyond the solid academic credentials and test scores, how do you assess a prospect's fit with personality and demands of your MBA program? What are you looking for in candidates, in not only in terms of the test scores, but the soft skills that are more subjective?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Oftentimes, as applicants are thinking about, this MBA journey, the one thing that I want to have them all think about, and this is what I'm looking for on the admission side, is, are you ready to roll up your sleeves and do this MBA? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be juggling multiple facets of life, right? You have your professional life, your personal life, social life, maybe hobbies. Maybe the hobbies will be on break while you do this MBA. At the end of the day, our students have to be prepared to be able to dive into this commitment. And I will be honest, it's about a 20-hour-a-week commitment. And so, of course, an undergraduate performance, how you did, as an undergraduate, is a great predictor of future success, but it's not the tell-all, be-all, end of story that we see, right? A lot of what we spend more time on is looking at the career progression of our candidates, as well as what vision they have and ability to articulate how an MBA will help them reach their next goals. So, of course, for us, it's looking at that applicant holistically. I will tell everybody who's listening, we are currently waiving the testing requirement. So our online students aren't required to take the GMAT exam or the GRE, but keep in mind that maybe if you had a shaky undergrad, or maybe your professional experience isn't as strong as you'd like it to be, that's an additional data point that we can look at to say, are you ready, willing, prepared? Do you have the grit and the excitement to jump into this MBA experience? This is a one in a lifetime opportunity. And so we really pride ourselves on being able to find that group of students that are all excited to become Gators and really add value to their own personal networks, as well as our larger network. To give you some insights, we have about 475 enrolled students. That number will vary. In fact, this Friday, we're bringing in a new group of a fresh crop of students. So we're super excited to welcome them to campus. But, at the end of the day, so much of an MBA is about working in teams, working with your peers. And so if I've done my job right, and my team has recruited the right crop of students, the right group of students, then you're going to join that, MBA family, larger MBA family of over 900 enrolled students, half of which tend to be in our online space. You're going to join that cohort of peers that run the gamut of, about 15% veterans, or 30% underrepresented minorities, or about 35% females. And so we want a diverse group of students, but we want ultimately a group of students that we hope will replicate what the boardroom should look like. But also we want groups of students that are just excited to be here. And John alluded to the fact that we have so many services, professional development opportunities. I touched a little bit on experiential learning, and so by giving this opportunity to do an MBA once, we really want students to be able to embrace it, and so by doing so, it's utilizing all of the services that we have to offer. And in fact, I'm going to put a little plug. We are super excited that we were rated by U.S. News World Report as #1 veteran-friendly program again. And I think that's just a testament to the fact that not only are we looking for a diverse group, but we want to support our students in every way possible.
Yeah.
And that's admissions.
Yeah. Great insight. John, often MBAs are focused on a specific role, company, or career path, rather than maybe what kind of person or leader a business school can help them develop into. What advice do you have for students about that journey?
That's a great question, Christy. And this is one of those things that is definitely out there in the world of MBA program directors. And an MBA sometimes is viewed as a transaction or as sort of a means to an end. And that's a really easy place to get to, because if you look at the outcomes that an MBA typically delivers, they're all there, right? Better salary, promotional opportunity, industry change. Like those things are almost always achieved with an MBA, partly because of the way the program is designed, whether it's here at the University of Florida or in general. But it's not about a transaction. And I would say to any prospective student out there, come up with a strategy. I mean, partly because it's business school. And as I tell all of our new students at orientation, business school is all about strategy. So if you don't have one, you're sunk. So, welcome to business school. But come up with a strategy. What is it that you really want? And have a look down the road, because the transactional outcomes that I just mentioned are absolutely on the table. And Naz mentioned a number of the services and the programs that help the students get to those. But it's more about setting yourself up for a lifetime of learning, right? In an uncertain world, are you creating a system where you can continue to take in information, where you can think critically about it, where you can learn and grow as the environments change around you? Because if you think about the world that we live in today, where we're talking constantly about chat, GPT, and AI, and all those sorts of things, those weren't even on the radar for most business schools 10 years ago. So 10 years from now, we aren't going to know what's out there. And you're not going to want to come back and get another degree, right? There's some places out there that'll say you can get all these degrees. And I think there's a place for that. But realistically, the MBA should set you up with a foundation to think critically, to assess complex information, and to do something with it for your benefit, for your organization's benefit, for your community's benefit. So when you think about what you want in an MBA, that's what you want to think about. How are you setting yourself up for a lifetime of success personally and professionally, and not just how can I do 2 years as fast and learn as much as possible and get a good job? Because that's probably going to happen. The stats would suggest, by and large, that MBA graduates do very well for themselves. But how are you giving yourself all the things that you need, setting yourself up for future success, and not just getting that first job out of business school, but how are you going to get the second and the third, and the one that's really going to set you up to retire when you're ready, and not because you have to?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important advice, I think. Naz, talk about how your MBA program replicates the networking, mentorship, career development that is so front and center to the in-person MBA.
Yeah, so part of the MBA program and a differentiator for us that John alluded to is that we pride ourselves on being able to deliver the same type of program. The services are the same, everything's the same. It's just the modality in which you're choosing to absorb your lecture content. But to go above and beyond that, one of the things that I love to highlight, I told you we have 2 types of programs. We start 3 times a year. Above and beyond that, it is important to remember that all of our online MBA students are required to come back to campus. They're required to come to campus for in-person orientation. Now, what does that in-person orientation mean? That means you're going to come, you're going to meet your classmates, you're going to meet your faculty, you're going to learn the ins and outs of how to navigate this program, but you're also going to do that with the support of the people who will be your academic advisors, who will be your financial aid advisors. So in essence, and that's also an opportunity to meet your career coach. And so we have this structure in place for students to come physically to campus for 2 days for orientation so that we're able to give them the ins and outs of how to be a Gator MBA. And so that laying that foundation early on allows students to really feel connected to us. Now, even before they come for orientation, we start networking and introducing this incoming cohort to one another with, a networking night. It's all via Zoom because we recognize students are coming in from all over. So we start the networking even before they've come to campus. And then they come to campus and they're excited to meet the people that they've seen little Zoom boxes for, that they've seen in their Salesforce community pages with. And so then, once they are enrolled, we continuously have various checkpoints with our students from not only our student affairs engagement side of the house. So they will do networking events. Of course, we do in-person networking events here on campus. We do virtual networking events. We do events in conjunction with our Gator clubs. We do tailgate events. We do events kind of as the team is going to various cities. So there are ways to connect with our students as you're enrolled in the program that way. We also, from a career development perspective, we have a career coach dedicated to all of our students. So historically, you think a full-time MBA students may be the only group or population that have access to career coaches. In fact, that is not the case for us. All of our students have a career coach. And in fact, the career curriculum that they embark on actually happens at orientation, and it continues throughout the duration of their programming. So they're able to know exactly what they need to be doing as they're navigating resume building or mock interviewing or negotiating a salary, whatever the case may be. So it's really important that, that our students and viewers recognize that it's the same services across the board, and that everything that we have from professional development to certifications are offered to all of our students regardless of format.
Very good. John, in a global business landscape, the cross-cultural communication has become just so important. How does your program develop those kinds of leadership skills to help students work and lead others who may be different from themselves?
Great question. We live in an increasingly virtual space, right? I mean, this is a perfect example right here. For all I know, Naz could be in a subway station. She could be in a Subway sandwich shop. She could be across the hall from me, which I assume is where she is. But we live in these virtual spaces. And so how do we figure out how to create community, right? So Naz has her virtual background up. Christy, you're representing the brand as well. I've got my office back here. It gives you a little bit of a sense of who I am. So there are all sorts of ways that being in an online program, and for UF, it's almost entirely online, for us to really figure out how do we create community, because that's sort of the first thing that you have to do if you're really going to start to understand who it is that you're in an environment with. And so being in an online space gives you the tools that you're going to need to go back to your virtual office. And by virtual office, you may still work face-to-face, but 2 days a week, your staff is alternate work location. So you may do your staff meeting on Zoom, even if you're all fully face-to-face. But this right here is a great example. And the learning lab that you get in an educational experience is great because you can really push yourself into uncomfortable spaces, and there's no $1 million contract on the line. Nobody's getting fired. Nobody's getting a raise, depending on how things go. So you can really start to play and experiment a little bit in those spaces to really figure out, how do you create community? How do you create rapport? And then when you start to create those things, that's when you can get into the things that an MBA really starts to do well, which is, how do you hold each other accountable? How do you make sure you deliver and meet on deadlines? How do you have those conversations that are critically important for the success of any organization with a person who you've now built some sort of a relationship with in a virtual space? And I think that's a big part of what we do that isn't written into the curriculum. It isn't intentionally designed when we talk about, should we take an ethics class? Should we take a law class? Should we take a communication or persuasion class? That stuff happens. It's part of the curriculum. It's been there for basically the length of an MBA program. But really what makes an online MBA powerful these days is you get to do it in spaces like this, which are becoming increasingly the norm for our everyday lives.
Yeah, speaking of kind of the norm for our everyday lives, John, how do you think the online MBA, kind of generally and specific to you, is going to, kind of evolve over the next few years?
Ask me on any day and I'll give you a different answer. I got to be honest about that. But that's the beautiful thing about the future, right? We never quite know what's around the corner. When I look at the landscape, when I talk to my peers, when I have chats with Naz and the admissions team here, I think one of the things that's really going to happen is we're going to see a sort of merging toward a sort of dual modality world, where some of the folks are going to be face-to-face and some of the folks are going to be virtual. And I think the notion of face-to-face and online as sort of pure concepts will probably continue to exist, but we're going to find ourselves in a world where our technology catches up to the fact that so much of our lives are conducted this way. And I think the big change that we're going to see is a lot of programs, and this is one of the things that's high on the list for UF as well, is how do we create these blended spaces? We've called them hybrid. I think a lot of folks have sort of a poor taste in their mouth from hybrid because it became a thing that was thrust upon us in March of 2020. But as we've now, as leaders, gone back as program deliverers and with feedback from prospective and current students, and had to figure out, how do we get over that hump? How do we create a space where you can do a meeting with some people in one space and a whole another set of people who are in their own individual spaces and still create that community? We're going to design those spaces, and that's going to unlock an incredible amount of power, because then electives become available regardless of when they're taught or how they're taught. The course offerings become more rich in that scenario, which is, I think, really great for the entire industry. We get more opportunities to specialize or focus on certain things, which for some people can be an important part of an educational experience. We're going to have better community in those spaces, because it won't be a matter of, I can't hear you because of feedback, or you're muted, or whatever it might be. The technology is going to get smarter. And I think that's a big part of it that's going to really change the industry. The other thing that everybody's watching, and I mentioned it earlier, is the whole AI thing, right? What is that going to do? What is stuff like ChatGPT going to do in terms of how it changes how students interact? How do we as organizations and universities incorporate that level of learning? Because our students are going to be expected to understand it, to use it. It's going to become a part of their lives. Maybe not the only part, but a big part of it. So how do we create structures for them to understand it, to use it, to grow in that space? And then there's another thing that we don't know about, and that's the one that really excites me, Christy, because we didn't know COVID was coming and we weathered it. We didn't know the housing crisis was coming and we weathered it. Economically, socially, socioeconomic, healthcare, something's going to disrupt the world in the next 5 years. We don't know what it is, but I'm really excited that we are prepared to navigate that as it comes at us.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Naz. Why don't you just kind of take us out by kind of sharing how students can get in touch with you and where they can find more information?
Perfect. Thank you, Christy. This has been so much fun today. So if you would like to learn more about the University of Florida MBA program here at the Warrington College of Business, I encourage you to reach out to me directly. I'm happy to drop my contact. It's naz@warrington.ufl.edu. But please reach out to either me or anybody on my team. But also keep in mind, there are so many opportunities to connect with us. We do almost weekly online info sessions, so virtual info info sessions. We have a few opportunities to come to campus. We actually have our spring open house coming here in mid-February. For anybody that's still wavering between a full-time or a part-time MBA, we offer free GMAT boot camps. We will be hitting the road. And in fact, I'm going to be meeting with a number of prospective students in the South Florida market. I'll be in New York in a couple weeks and DC. So really, go to our website, because our contact information is there, but also a whole host of our upcoming events can be found there. And please reach out. I'm happy to assist, as well as anybody on my team, because I know that this can be a really difficult decision, right? Taking on that 20-hour-a-week commitment, taking on that financial burden, that's a huge thing. So we want to make sure that each and every one of our students, they are ready, prepared, and excited about jumping into this opportunity. And so if I can help in any way, please let me know.
Well, thank you both for your great insights and the deep dive into your program. For all our viewers out there, thank you for your time and attention. And you'll find, a lot more videos on different great online programs on our YouTube page or on our website, poetsandquants.com. Again, I'm Christy Blyzeffer, and until next time, stay informed. Thank you.